What's up? We're back. It's Ball or Nothing. Oh. I'm your host, Johnny Robertson. With me, as always, my two good friends, Jasper Grover and Edward Dunstan. How is it, guys?
Not great. Well, honestly, I'm okay, but bad football weekend. So
yeah, for football weekend, they were close.
Bad for the teams who lost.
Yes, that was all of us. I did notice that.
Essendon had their pretty much their heart broken. So I'm still mending from the weekend. But
what do you mean? You lost by a clean 41 points. I think it's Jasper who had his heart broken.
Well, but this ended up finals, so
he's looking big time.
Is that right? Okay,
yeah,
so you're already so you're looking to next season now.
Pretty much, yeah, we're done. So
he's looking for Harley Reid.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get down there. I'm sure it's mathematically still possible for Hawthorn to finish above us. So
could be, depending on how North Melbourne and the Eagles go this weekend in Perth. Okay, let's go with I'll go through the ladder. So it's the Pies are now 2 games in front of Port Adelaide. Who saw that coming? The Lions are 1 game behind in third of Port Adelaide, and then the D's are 1 game behind the Lions. And then 2 games behind is the Dogs, the Saints, the Giants, and then you got the Cats as well to round out the 8. And I'm not convinced that any of the Dogs, Saints, Giants, or Cats can finish in the 8 at this point.
Yeah, St Kilda are looking precarious.
The Saints just barely beat the Eagles 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or no, what was that? 4 weeks ago. Oh, that was a while ago now. But then North Melbourne, they won by 8 points. Just.
Yeah. So, and GWS are looking good as well. They seem to be in good form.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit more confident about them, even though they're on the same amount of points.
6 wins in a row.
Yeah.
I reckon the only thing that is possibly sitting in the Saints and Bombers' favour, because both of them look really, I think objectively like the wheels are falling off. And but the only thing I would say to that is that, okay, if you look at the bottom half of the 8, or even like the bottom half of the 8 and up to maybe say positions like 12, 13, 14, is that like the season doesn't just go like, straight, like, up and then down. It usually goes like up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's like, have Essendon and St Kilda just hit like a little bit of a 3-4 game rough patch, or are they both going to just like fall off a cliff for the rest of the season? And then has GWS like, yes, they played a few great games, but are they about to like drop a few they probably shouldn't? So I think it's like, it's not set in stone. But I think like, yeah, it's not looking good for those teams that were in the 8 for quite a while. So, yeah.
Yeah,
go.
No, you go.
I was going to say, we discussed the Saints run home last week as I think it was fairly straightforward from memory, wasn't it? So it looks like they've got, the AFLW schedule's in here now. So it's mixed in, so I can't tell what's the men's and what's the women's. Okay, but they got the Hawks, the Blues, the Tigers, and then the Cats. And they got North Melbourne in there as well. So I think for the Saints, it is like fairly possible to still hang around. Like they would have to have some really bad losses in there, although the Blues are doing pretty well at the moment. Bombers do have the Swans this weekend. They can win that. It's not in Sydney. And then they play the Eagles and North Melbourne.
Yeah.
So that's positive, but then it's going to be the Giants. So that could even be like a win and in type sort of play-in. Speaking of, should we talk about the play-ins?
Let's talk about them. Let's talk about the week. Yeah.
We'll come back to it. Since we're already talking about these teams. And then for the Giants, they've got the Dogs, the Swans, Port Adelaide Bombers, and then Carlton. So that's going to be really interesting. The Giants and the Bombers, and then the Giants and the Blues, because it feels like all of those are going to be big play-in games.
Will be interesting. It's I don't see Essendon making it.
No, neither.
They've just fallen a bit far behind. 2 points behind Richmond and Carlton, even just puts them a bit below, unfortunately.
And it's really just form. We haven't, I think, like we obviously Sam Draper being injured sucks, but and Ridley's been playing great, but he got injured. He was injured after we'd already kind of lost that game on Friday. So, but But yeah, so it's just a bit frustrating.
So Ed, tell us about the game. So Bombers have lost 4 of the last 5 to put them in this position. And the Dogs did win pretty handily, although you guys were out in front in the first half.
Yeah,
not
a
half time.
Quarter. It was we basically the first 10 minutes of the first quarter we looked really good, and then pretty much after
that's familiar.
And then pretty much after that, it really looked like they were the better team. They just kind of weren't scoring that much, and then they did start scoring a lot in the second quarter, and then in the third quarter we looked like we were trying really hard. There was no faulting their effort. It was just turnover after turnover. And then Bontempelli kept kicking amazing goals and reminding the competition why he's probably
the best.
Probably the best, if
I'd say one.
He's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, he's just, there's situations in plays where it's like he always makes the right decision. He rarely loses a one-on-one. And he can do things like in any part of the ground, like defense, the middle, or attack that, many other players can't.
He seems like he is everywhere where the ball is.
He was. It was incredible. Yeah. It was him and Libba just absolutely tore us to shreds. And actually, I think in the early part of the last quarter or late in the third, we were only down by 8 points. So it wasn't like we were getting blown out of the water. It's just that they kind of looked like they were holding us at arm's length, and we could not get anything going in the forward line. We would rebound it repeatedly. Like our back line looked great. Our middle was so-so. We got, beaten, but not trounced. And then, and we just couldn't get anything going out forward really. And then, in the last quarter, they just piled on goals, which was, I left my TV screen about halfway through the quarter. So that's all I can say. Bontempelli defeated Essendon.
Yeah, and as you were saying, so Bont had 29 disposals, 2 goals, and 645 metres gained. And then the second best on ground, I think, for the Dogs was Libba with 36 disposals, 13 clearances, and 4 tackles. Bailey Smith was good as well. He hadn't played in a while, and he came back into the side. He had 25 disposals, 6 clearances, and 6 tackles. So seems like he's making his way back into form, which if you can get in form Bailey Smith, I think the Dogs are a good shot going into the finals.
But I will say on that note that Bulldogs, of the top 8 teams that I've seen Essendon play, they are by far the most reliant on one player to be that one player, and that's Bontempelli. He's just so good, and the rest of their team is fine. They're not bad, they're just not great yet. And so I think
Tinglish is pretty good.
Tim English is good. He hasn't had as good a last, say, 5 weeks compared to the first 12 weeks of the season. But
I reckon he's the best ruckman in the comp this year, though.
I think Gawn is.
Gawn's had a few good last couple of weeks, but that's with Grundy gone. With Grundy was in the team.
Yeah, it was not so good. But I would say Ron Marshall as well has had a pretty good year.
Nowhere near as good as Tinglish, anyway.
But yeah, I think Dogs are a good, maybe 6th to 7th team. So yeah,
that's all the Dogs need.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
That's true, yeah.
They've done it before.
And Jamari Hagen had 3 goals. One of the other good ones, so Caleb Daniel had a pretty good game with 28 disposals as well. Adam Treloar was up there, 25 disposals for the Dogs. Jack McRae, 23. He's not averaging his usual 30-something that he usually gets. And best on ground for the Bombers was Jordan Ridley. Did I see that he's injured?
Yeah. He tore his quad. He's probably going to miss the rest of the season.
That's awful. But you did sign Mason Redmond.
We did.
I think to a 5-year extension.
Yeah, it's good, and it's also really good because he had an awesome 14 weeks. In the last 3 weeks, he's actually been pretty shit. So we've got him on the good downturn. So hopefully it subtracted some thousands of dollars off his contract.
Redmond, 28 disposals.
Didn't you feel like you did
547
much?
meters game. No, didn't.
Yeah.
Laverde played a better game. Or actually, I'm actually literally just staring. I don't know if Jaden Laverde played a good game or not.
Our whole
27
backline,
disposals.
Redmond included and Ridley, like they didn't look like they were going to kick away until the last quarter. And the backline was great. It was just the middle and maybe kind of like our full forward line that just looked slow and small. And that was it. So, yeah.
Both teams had 49 inside 50s each. So it's interesting that the Dogs came away with 25 scoring shots and the Bombers came away with 14 as well. And I think Ed's done talking about that one.
Yes,
so
move on.
Onward and upwards for the Bombers. As we were saying this week, you got the Swans.
We can skip the next game as well, though, if we don't want to talk about that.
Well, I was going to talk about the Cats and the Lions.
Yeah, no, we can talk about that. Yes, please.
Let's jump into the Cats and the Lions. I actually thought it wasn't a bad performance from the Cats. On the whole, like I guess when you look at the game at the final score, like to hold Brisbane to 9-10-64 in Brisbane, I thought was pretty admirable. We just couldn't get the ball inside our forward 50 at all to our key players. And Jeremy Cameron is just, I know he's coming back from that that really bad concussion he sustained, but he sort of dropped off a little bit, and it's kind of really bad timing for this to happen to us now.
At least it's not like on the eve of the finals. He's got a few weeks to get back into form.
That's true. I think we gave, it was a tough one to understand. I don't understand how Cal Ah Chee decided to have like the greatest game of his career against us. He was destroying us through the first three quarters. I will say we did make a really nice push for it, a really nice push towards in the fourth quarter to get the margin. I'm trying to have a look. I think so it got out to nearly 40 points halfway through the third quarter. And looks like we got it back to about 10 points by the end of the game, or 11 points rather. So it was just a matter of too little too late. I thought it was kind of reminiscent of when we went to Sydney the other week to play the Swans. And we were sort of just allowing them lots and lots of space in that game that we drew with them. Just trying to defend and see what they would do. But the difference was that Brisbane was huge in taking full advantage of that.
Was it the type of game that you like? It was low scoring, but did that make it?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Yeah, of course. It was like my perfect game where there's there's enough scoring, but it's also like a real contest.
And then Geelong loses. That's your perfect game.
I don't mind if Geelong loses in a competitive fashion. It's when they lose.
Cut that and put that out there.
Clip that.
So, John, where do you feel like the Cats are at this year? Because they amazingly even though that they have absolutely smacked several teams that are competing, they're sitting eighth. They've got 9 wins, 8 losses, and a draw after 18 rounds. It's not a great record, but they still look, when they're good, they're really good. Where do you see them going for the rest of the year?
So to answer your what's your question?
Yeah, where do you see them going for the rest of the year? They're kind of just, they look good when they're on, but they also they're eighth, and that they could miss the fight. I don't know where they're going to go this year. They could win the premiership from here, but they could also not make the finals. So it's where do you reckon they're going to go?
So I think we're in an okay position. I'm just bringing up their run home because didn't we discuss the other week, most of their games for the rest of the season are at home. So we play Freo at home, Port Adelaide at home. We play MCG, Collingwood, Marvel against the Saints, and then the Dogs at home. So like I mentioned, that's the last weekend that we're traveling interstate, which is not too bad. I mean, Port Adelaide and Collingwood is going to be tough sledding. I think even though Freo has beaten us the last 2 times, one was earlier in this season in Perth, but that was when we were really on a downward trajectory. And then the time before that was actually in Geelong. And I tweeted this out during the game on the weekend that I don't understand why ex-Geelong players love to absolutely just destroy us in games, because Lincoln McCarthy was just killing us. Same way, and I bring it up because Jordan Clark came back to Geelong last year and just destroyed us.
Good old revenge game.
Yeah. look, okay, so we've got 5 games remaining. We could definitely feasibly lose 2 of them against the Pies and Port. It kind of means that we have to win the other 3 when you look at like the Bombers schedule and the Saints schedule and the Giants schedule. And, you know, like the Dogs are not a sure thing. Like you was just saying, like if Bont is on and Libba is on, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Saints, they're such a basket case. You never know what you're going to get with them. So... yeah, it really depends on our midfield. Like some like things you think you'll never see. Tom Stewart was in the middle coming out of halftime.
I saw that. Yeah,
it was just a strangest thing, but like, hey, it was semi working. He was semi effective. It's a shame he couldn't then instantly teleport backwards as well to the back line.
That'd be a very unfair advantage if he could teleport.
Is that in Ed's rules?
Yeah.
New cloning will be a definite thing. We won't have any new AFL players. We'll just clone them and.
Yeah, it's tough. I think a lot of it hinges on Jeremy Cameron. He did kick 3 goals on the weekend, but we kind of need him to be Jeremy Cameron from the first few games this season. Same with Hawke. Like we kind of, neither of them have been on at the same time, I felt, unless it was like against North Melbourne the other weekend. We need them to both be on. We need Danger to be playing well and Atkins to be playing well in the middle. Max Holmes has been playing really well, and we need our backline to step up. So we've got playing at home on our advantage, to our advantage, if we can use that. Yeah, there's no gimmies remaining.
So I think like the other major event on the weekend was look, Richmond Hawthorn was a great game, and I do want to talk about it at some point, but probably Collingwood Port Adelaide, and Port Adelaide going down by 2 points against Collingwood in a absolutely cracking match. So I don't know where
Collingwood match.
Yeah, basically.
They snatch hands from the jaws of defeat, snatch victory from the hands of defeat.
They snatched those hands and they went with it.
How do they keep getting away with this? I don't understand.
It's crazy. If I just I just saw a stat where it was McRae's lowest win versus every team, and they're all within like a goal against every team. He's got to win.
It is an odd record because, like, obviously they're off the top of the ladder. They can smash some teams, but you don't have to be a good team or a bad team, but they could have a close game against you. They're still probably going to win. Yeah. And they win away. They're so clearly now the premiership favourite.
By far. Especially because it's at the G. I'm like, you know, like if Port were the other favourites, it's harder for them to win at the G. I think that just gives Collingwood an edge by default.
And so it's like the grand final is creeping closer. Are we okay with Collingwood being in the grand final potentially?
I hate that they've got this awesome narrative that they are like the kings of the fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah,
like, that would be such a cool narrative to have around your team, and it's about fucking Collingwood.
So are we all in agreement that it is absolutely like instrumental, that it's absolutely pivotal that Collingwood loses the grand final?
If they're playing anyone but Geelong or Sydney, yes.
I think Collingwood, it's like you guys, you know, you obviously consume a bit of footy media. Like with Collingwood, everyone's like, oh, you know, I've learned to like, can't believe it, but I actually like watching him play. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's Collingwood. Like, of course, I can find it entertaining, but I would never, ever say the words I like or ever barrack for them because, like, I don't want them to because they're Collingwood and their supporters are awful. And
I wish it was Freo having the success. Or like
exactly. That'd be great. I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know this, and it's just I'm sure it's just envy. Like I wish Essendon was Collingwood and we had like some great, you know, coach and play game style and like all that kind of stuff. But it just like if all the teams to be incredibly entertaining and
why does it have to be
a likable coach? Why does it have to be Collingwood?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's very important that they lose the grand final. Now their run home is fairly simple. So they got the Blues Friday night.
That is going to be huge. I reckon there'll be like 85,000.
Oh yeah, if not more.
If not more. They play Hawthorn the week after. The Cats, the Lions.
It's going to be huge.
And the Bombers. So the Pies have to run through all of our teams on the way home.
And they probably will.
And they probably will. I really hope Geelong can be competitive against them. Because I feel like that Collingwood Brisbane game is that at the MCG? Or will it be at Marvel?
It is at the MCG because no. Sorry, Collingwood Brisbane is at Marvel because I know that Brisbane doesn't play another game at the MCG for the rest of the year.
That makes sense. And I did see like Richmond on the weekend. They could have played at the MCG, but they didn't. I'm actually interested. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, it's Friday night game at Marvel. Interesting. So I wonder if there'll be any complaints about crowd attendance there.
Maybe, yeah. I had a quick question on, we talked about Collingwood with Port Adelaide. So I know there was explanation last week regarding their loss and everything against Carlton. They took some players out. They lost again this week against Collingwood, even though it was at Port Adelaide Oval. Is there any concerns about Port Adelaide and like where they're at? Because they do have a percentage of 113, which I think I saw posted the other day that is the lowest percentage of like a top 4 team, I think, at this point.
Yeah, really interesting.
Year. And so I think that's, or it might be the end of the year, but if they had this same percentage around then like they're, are they due for a fall? Because they've been up all season basically, and are they starting to stutter, or is it just like these were 2 losses they had to have?
I think it's not coincidental, but against Carlton they really were missing a large portion of their best squad, and Carlton played awesomely. I won't deny them that. And then against the Pies, it's against the Pies, so I think they're a level below the Pies. So they were almost. I mean, they almost won still, but that was at home. So,
question for you: If Port Adelaide lose this week in the showdown, will you have more concerns?
I guess I'd have more, but I still wouldn't be concerned because it's also a showdown. So anything can happen.
That's true.
In
it's a funny old game.
Although the Crows are starting to sort of fall off a little bit as well. They seem to be struggling to get any wins.
Are we concerned about them?
I am. I thought that they were going to finish in the 8 for sure.
Yeah, they had a purple patch there for a bit that seems to have the polish has come off a little bit.
Having said that, so they've lost 4 of their last 5. They lost to the D's, which they could have won, but it came down to that final kick. They lost to the Giants, who are rolling. They lost to Collingwood, is in there by 2 points. They beat North Melbourne, and then they lost to the Bombers. So that's like sort of like in hindsight, their only really bad loss. Yeah. So it could be a good game.
Yeah, I think it will be a good game. Yeah. It's Ryan Burton's getting the Barbs out early, starting the contest. He said, "I just don't like that team, that football club. I just hate that football club."
That's some good banter.
What about any concerns with? I think Isaac Rankin's going to be out for potentially the rest of the season just because of the nature of the injury.
What a bummer!
And there's only so many games left. But if like Fogarty and Tex can,
I was going to say, I think they've got a fair bit of depth in that area of the field, at least.
Yeah,
that I don't think
Rankin's pretty good player.
He is. I don't think he's down on last year's form. I think
he's kicked more goals.
Yeah, but but he kicked less goals in 2011. But I still think it was one of his best seasons.
I think kicked less goals in 20. Yeah. Right, yeah, I get you.
Goals isn't the only measurement of players' effect.
I know. You guys hate goals. It's all right.
Only in one quarter a game, which is often the last quarter.
Yeah, I mean the Crows will be without Rankin. They'll be without Rochelle, who's suspended, and Duday's still out for the season. Yeah, I think Rankin's still having a really good season.
Yeah, I did say he's having a bad season.
No, but
I just think that like that's the area
he's having his
got
best
the most
season.
Depth. Like if you're going to have an injury to somewhere on the field, regardless of the player, you'd have it.
For the
you'd
Crows.
want to have it where you've got the most depth in that area.
Yeah. Unless you're the D's.
I'm saying, I'm not ragging on Rankin.
No, that's true.
Relax, guys. Calm down.
Ragging on Rankin. That is the headline of tomorrow's news.
Port Adelaide will be...
Kane Corns is... me and Kane Corn sharing a image for that one.
Yeah. You were saying, John?
Port Adelaide is just without Willie Rioli for the
only one game, which is ridiculous.
I think because it was slapping a Collingwood player, that's absolutely fine.
Oh, hold on.
We've all wanted to do it.
I thought Willie Rioli had time off for personal reasons.
No, he's been back. That ended like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I was like, Jess, that's possibly a little bit insensitive.
You obviously have not seen what has happened.
Yeah. Eddie, the fact that you don't have Twitter, sometimes it really
not
shows.
Not even Twitter. This was a big thing that happened in footy.
The fact that you didn't even have the internet
he slapped
today.
the Collingwood player in the head.
Yeah.
Well,
and then he was suspended for 2 weeks, and then they challenged it, and it was reduced to 1 week for actually hitting a play in the head intentionally, regardless, like compared to a tackle.
He says he was trying to create separation.
Yeah, with his fist to the face.
Yeah, that's a way of creating separation.
I ran into my hand.
I don't understand how that can get reduced in today's AFL, where the head is sacrosanct, apparently.
Oh, really? So you're not in favour of the reduction?
Not in comparison to other ones. You go on.
I was just going to say, I haven't seen it, but please clarify. You said he slapped him. Did he slap him on the head or the cheek? Or
it was like cheek area.
Like the jaw.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too.
It wasn't like open hand though. It was like, argued that it was open hand, but it was like a push, like a.
Oh, okay. He didn't do like a proper like.
No, it wasn't like a reality TV show. Good old fashioned bitch slap.
It wasn't far off as well, though.
He didn't throw a martini in his face.
Oh my god! What do you reckon? Okay, so what if Willie Rioli did like?
I love that you haven't seen this incident.
But like, what if it? Yeah, I think I'm still keen on this idea of him just like doing a genuine big slap in the face to a common player. Like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I was in support of it. Okay, let's move on to one of the last games I want to talk about. Is Jasper, you can't hold it off. Jasper's been trying to kill time and hoping that we all just move on. Tigers, Hawks. I really thought Hawks had that one in the bag. That was exciting. Jasper, you were at the game?
And I did not think they had it in the bag. I was with friend of the pod, Wade, and I had said the whole game, doesn't matter how far ahead we'll get, Richmond will kick 8 or 9 goals if they have to in a row to beat us. And sure enough, it only took 6 goals in a row and they did it. So as the life of a bottom 3 team this year, they have not held on to leads well this year. And I've seen it happen multiple times this year, so I wasn't surprised that it happened, unfortunately.
It was absolutely pivotal for Geelong and even the teams around us as well that Richmond lose that game and that the Hawks won.
That's why we did it. We just so much fight for Geelong. We threw a game.
That's how I feel, because Geelong Twitter was all applauding the Hawks, saying, thank God they've actually finally done something for us, and then you couldn't even do that.
Well, I'm happy to have some good came out of our heartbreaking loss then, because it's like I had been telling myself it was happening the whole game, but watching it happen is still
unfold in real time.
Yeah.
So, a couple of the better players from the game. So, Noah Bolter took 14 marks for Richmond. Wasn't bad in the end. Trent Cotchin had 2 missed shots at goal from
oh my god, they almost lost him the game. They were ridiculously silly misses from him.
What was he doing?
One, he was running into an open goal and he stuck it, so it went basically vertical and missed.
I did see that, yeah.
12 meters out, and then another one was similar on a bit more of an angle and still shanked it.
Cal Amon decided to have the game of his life, kicking 27 disposals and 720 meters gained.
Wow. He was much more noticeable than he has been in a lot of other games this year. He was all around the contest, getting the ball out and driving it long where we needed it. Sicily was by far, I think, the best player on the ground. Both teams. 28
disposals for Sicily.
Yeah, he was just everywhere. Him in the team and not in the team is night and day. Our defense is just ridiculously good when he's around. Like he's got like if it was like a video game, he'd have like +3 to defense to your teammates in your area. Like he just makes the whole defense better.
Yeah.
I like the introduction of RPG elements to this podcast.
Not nerdy enough already.
No, not at all.
And Jai Newcomb, 30 disposals as well. Not bad.
Good article on the AFL website just gone up about why Jai Newcomb should be or could be in All-Australian contention.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
He's had a very good season. You don't even know what he looks like.
Was the
right
newspaper you were reading Big Footy, Jess?
It's on AFL, the main website, mate. I think McLaughlin put the article up himself.
Yeah, nice.
Sicily could be all Australian.
He'll have missed too many games, unfortunately, and Darcy Moore is so good that he is they would be competing for the same spot almost.
Yeah, right. And then on the Tigers side of the ball, so Dion Presti had a very good game, 28 disposals. Tim Taranto, a little bit of a lull, but 23 still up there. And Dusty sort of came home strong as well. Other than the screaming, raging comeback, wasn't too much to say about it. Like, I thought Hawks looked like a fairly complete game. It's just that one quarter of football that they decided to drop off. We
have won every game.
Yeah, they had the lead for 102 minutes, nearly 103, and then the Tigers had the lead for 10 minutes.
A lot of it came down to kicking as well. Like, I think we kicked 15-5 to their 11th, like not 11, like 16th, 15 or something like that.
14-12 they kicked to 15-5. So you guys were fairly accurate.
Seeing that we started the previous game against, was it the Giants or whoever it was last week? Against the Roos, sorry, of course. And we kicked 3 goals, 13 in the first half. So to go kick 15-5 this week is a bit better.
Had to regress back to there at some point. And then just some other games to finish on from the round just gone that kind of stood out a little bit. We were just talking about the Saints who just got over North Melbourne. Crows dealt a really bad loss to the D's. That was another game that all Geelong supporters were looking at closely, thinking, oh my God, the Crows are going to win. This will be fantastic for us. We really needed D's to lose that to stay in that sort of like bottom 5 of the 8 and keep that alive. Wasn't to be. And the Giants are rolling.
What do you guys think of Melbourne with 5 games to go in the season? Are they a contender? Are they not a contender? What you
I think if you're top 4, you should have the title of contender, unless like the top 2 teams are by far and away much better than you. But they're thereabouts. They've beaten a lot of the good teams as well, and they've got that premiership experience, which goes a long way in September.
Maybe a question without forewarning. Do you reckon has a team ever won the premiership from 4th? We always go about you got to be in the top 4, but I'm like pretty sure you got to be in the top 3. So I don't know.
From exactly 4th. Did the Lions not do it? Maybe in 2003.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just interesting thinking about it because like we often talk about how the top 4 is so important, but actually it's like
I think
it often is 4th is pretty hard.
I think it's top 2 is most of the time.
Yeah, I think quite a few win from 3rd as well.
Again, it may happen more often than we know. We just can't remember.
No, I don't think that. I think Sydney in 05 is one. But anyway, I think Melbourne they're a bit of a dark horse. That's what I will say about them. Is that I think they have a lot of ifs about them. Like if they get Oliver back, if they get their forward line functional, if Max Gawn continues this amazing line of form, I reckon they could go pretty deep. But it's
Bailey Fritsch as well. Yeah, this is the D's like season in a nutshell. So beating the Pies by 4 points, losing to Geelong, losing to the Giants, beating the Saints. So the last 2 games, they beat Brisbane by 1 point, and that was with a last minute goal. And then they beat the Crows by 3 points, 4 points with a last minute goal as well. So had those 2 last minute goals not happened, they'd be in a completely different spot. They'd be on 40 points. They'd be in that 5 that we were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that they squeaked out those 2 wins just completely changes the dynamic for the D's.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I reckon that's what you're going to get. with them for the rest of the season. Their run home is the Tigers on Sunday. They play North Melbourne. They play the Blues. They play the Hawks and the Swans. So fairly straightforward. They might even look to, I'd say they probably think about resting a few players in some of those games.
Looks like you're right, Eddie. I just looked it up. No teams ever won from fourth.
I'm pretty sure Sydney in 05 might.
No, they were... So 3 teams have made the grand finals from fourth.
Oh, okay. All right.
And Geelong in 2020, Sydney in 06, Collingwood in 02.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
So that's nobody knows. It's interesting.
It is interesting. So fourth is actually basically a death knell for your team.
May as well just not turn up.
I mean, more teams have won it from sixth and seventh or something. So...
All right, so that'll do it for round 19. Eddie will jump into rules of the world, and then actually, Jasper, you got trivia as well.
We'll do trivia after because it relates to the next round at least.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So, guys, I've been, I've started up a bit of a, sometimes they develop like a center for this, center for that. I've got center for AFL rule improvement strategy, and us at the center have looked at how do, we've got a system where teams like maybe in the short term, West Coast are so bad and they are not going to improve for a very long time. Then we've got teams like Essendon, St Kilda and some other ones that have just been shit for ages. I think we, in the broader football world, we think about soccer, we think about like the worst teams in the EPL, they get relegated. There's punishment. They will get better. They get a little bit of a whip crack on them when they suck. So, in the States, if a team's shit for enough time, we'll just fold. They'll get them out of here, whereas in the AFL, we just pat them on the back and say, next year, son. And I think it's outrageous. So I think we need to change this up. We need to get a bit more motivation to not be so bad and to improve more. And so, okay, first things first, let's go to the obvious one. The bottom 2 teams of any year get relegated to their Waffle, VFL, or Sandful, and then the premiership teams of the Waffle, VFL, and Sandful, and maybe the Darwin, the Northern Territory League, all play off to see which of those 2 teams go into the AFL.
It's interesting because this is obviously copying the soccer method.
English Premier League.
Well, isn't it? It's most soccer leagues around the world, isn't it? I believe relegation.
It's not the MLS.
Anyway.
Yeah, not the point.
That it's just the top 2 teams. It's not a playoff to get a spot, really, unless it comes down to the last game, but that's just happenstance. Whereas you're advocating for a playoffs to get into the AFL, which is
how much motivation?
It's interesting because the other one's based on sort of a meritocracy, the best players of the season get up to the next. But this is just could be the worst team has their best game, just happen and they happen to get into the league. It just adds another element of luck.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe even worse, but, it could happen.
So I mean, I love this idea. I think that the only because I really like to see, rather than rewarding teams for coming last, I think that there does need to be some sort of punishment involved, in some capacity. The only problem with teams going to the VFL, which I don't even know why it's called the VFL anymore, is
this is what they were saying in 1989.
But is that in footy we have pathways. So if you play for the Falcons, you usually go on to you get a decent look at Geelong, or if you look at, I'm looking at the VFL ladder right now, and the Gold Coast Suns VFL team is on top of the ladder with the Werribee Tigers. So I just think it'd be an interesting dynamic to all of a sudden see Gold Coast Suns have a second team.
Well, yeah,
in the AFL, but
they could. You got 2 chances for your team.
I don't think Gold Coast would be the team that would have 2 teams in the.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, according to the VFL ladder, they would.
Well, so that brings up another interesting point, is that there is sister teams or other teams where it's the Hawthorn Hawks and the Box Hill Hawks.
Yeah.
And a lot of Hawthorn players play for Box Hill.
Yes.
So what are the rules if Hawthorn drops out and Box Hill goes
Box
up?
Hill goes in, but Hawthorn can put their players in the Box Hill team. It's just that their supporters are supporting Box Hill this year, not Hawthorn.
Oh, so we could play the exact same team.
Yeah, but you're also playing your home games at Box Hill's home ground.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm down for that. That's
Hang on, so wait, why is it the players, like, say, from the Hawks in the Hawks, the Hawthorn Hawks, why did their players go play for Box Hill Hawks?
It's just like it's their feeder team, basically. So it's so the players can have can train and get experience when they're not.
But like, why wouldn't they go play with like Werribee Tigers or Williamstown?
What do you mean?
Like the Hawks players who are like, you know, like.
Oh, you mean if they're relegated, why do they go play for Box Hill?
No, like you know how like Jack Gunston the other week was like, I'm not doing very well. I'm going to go play in the VFL.
Yeah.
And so I imagine he played for some sort of Brisbane related team.
Brisbane.
Yeah, that's very Brisbane related.
Yeah.
But
why wouldn't he go play with like Port Melbourne?
Well, because the teams are linked. It's always the same team. Like it's like they Hawthorn runs Box Hill basically. So
yeah,
the Hawthorn team owns the Box Hill team,
like Melbourne D's and then the Casey Demons.
Yeah, I mean not necessarily own, but there is a lot of.
Yeah, it'd be heavily subsidized by Melbourne because those teams are not like. Well, with the kinds of players they're paying are not financially viable unless they're linked to an AFL team. So that's why all the teams that are on the bottom of the ladder, usually in the VFL now, are teams that aren't linked with an AFL team. So
so the bottom teams are Coburg Lions and the Northern Bull Ants. The Sydney Swans are down there as well. That's good. And Frankston. Frankston doesn't even have a mascot, so that's nice.
Well, I'll move on with this because I have.
Sorry,
I do have a linked. Slightly more complicated, but for a couple of very good solutions. So, okay, all right. Hear me out, okay? So, we've had some recent discussion about the fixture and how it's like unfair or whatever. So, get this. All the teams play each other once. And they play each other once, and then each section of the ladder gets divided into a top six, a middle six, and a bottom six. And so the last 5 games of the season is the top 6 playing each other to decide the top 6 positions, the middle 6 playing each other to decide the top 7th and 8th position, and then the bottom 6, and whoever wins out of that bottom 6 gets the top draft pick.
That's not bad. I feel like if you're like, what?
It's like finals for like 20 weeks or 10 weeks.
So basically, it's a toilet bowl, is what we call it in fantasy NFL football, where the worst teams all play each other, and the losers, like, you want to win, so you're not in the quote unquote toilet bowl.
Yes, exactly.
Receive the punishment.
I feel like if you're like 12th or 11th, you might, and there's like a Harley Reid-esque player, you might drop a few games so that you drop into the bottom 6 and you have a better
thrash
chance.
All the bottom 6. Yeah, maybe. It'll be tanking from all sorts of areas.
Yeah.
But then also you could have a team that was 11th and they end up fighting out in the top 8. So
or if a team was like 13th that the top of the ladder didn't like, the top of the ladder could throw a game and they could just play around with the bottom of the ladder a little bit.
There'd be so much tanking in like all parts of the ladder. You could have
there'd be a whole lot of bookmaking going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let cricket players near it.
Ed, I like that you're not on Twitter. So how's this idea for you? What about a play-in where 7, 8, 9, and 10 all play each other like in the NBA to get into the finals? So 7 will play 10. That is being
suggested by presidents of the AFL at the moment.
Okay, so you are up to date with.
Yeah, I'm up to date with that. Yeah.
You're up to date with all the off-field stuff, but not what happens.
Not on the on-field. Like not at all.
No, that's not important. That's not controversial.
Okay, I've got a much better solution coming up. So, look, I think that for too long we have just looked the other way when a team is terrible. West Coast this year. So I already have an idea about, I think the punishment and like scalding and shame can be very powerful motivators. So I was thinking we have an instance already where two teams get celebrated on the grand final parade. How about after they've gone by, you have the wooden spooners being driven down behind them, and people bring all kinds of stuff to throw at them and humiliate them and, really just ram home how awful they are.
What incentive do the players have to show up to get pelted with rotten tomatoes?
It's character building.
Beer bottles.
And they might get better as a result. So
they may get better thanks to abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the Robert Walls era-esque coaching here.
I think we should go back to the 80s, when it was like a bit more loose.
Men being
the
men.
good old days.
Exactly. Yeah, the good old days.
What about the idea that if you finish on the bottom of the ladder for the entirety of the next season, you have to the team and the club has to replace their logo with a wooden spoon. So the next season there'd be the West Coast, not Eagles, but the West Coast Spooners.
What if they have
just
to
so you never forget
on? Really humiliate them. They're not allowed to play with shorts for the whole season.
No, they just arseless shorts. So. Okay, final solution. No, cut that bit out. Okay, so I don't know whether you guys. I don't know whether
Did you not hear what he said?
No.
He said final solution.
There you go. The fourth solution.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the fourth solution. So I think you guys might be familiar with the idea of an intervention when, say,
Intervention.
Jasper's been acting out. We all want to call out Jasper on what's been happening, but this is by clubs on the worst club. So the intervention is by the other clubs, and they produce an official statement. Every club does it about why they're so bad, or why they think they're so bad, how they beat them, and how they can improve. And I think that this would be a sobering reality for that terrible team, which would ram home the reality of how bad they are, give them a bit of insight, and then maybe even kickstart a process of healing and growing and getting better as a team. So, yeah.
I feel like this is ripe for abuse between rival clubs. They would just get really personal and hard with their criticism.
Back in the 80s, you did this thing, and you've been bad ever since.
Basically, yeah. It sounds like a lot of. It sounds like very. What's the camp that the Crows did? The Mind.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Mind. Yeah, sponsored by Collective Mind.
Collective Mind, yeah. They're in the AFL's good book, so I'm sure there won't be any troubles there.
Yeah.
I'm for it. It definitely sounds healing, and it'll only have good mental effects on the player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Being criticized from hundreds and hundreds of people.
Character ability.
I'm for it.
But yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah, good.
Is that the final one?
That is the fourth solution. Yeah.
All right, Jasper, let's move on to your trivia, and then we can
jump into the final round. Segue, because it's this week. Who is it? Geelong plays Fremantle on Saturday. And that will be Chris Scott's 305th game coaching the Cats. That'll be the all-time record for the Geelong Cats.
Yes.
Who are the top five? Games coached for Geelong all-time.
Oh.
Okay, so he is taking over from... Oh, man, I was watching this on... I think it was
This is going to be a hard one to get. His last year coaching was 1959. He coached on 3 separate occasions.
Gary Abel Senior.
In 1959. No.
Okay, so I think Mark Thompson's in there.
He is in there. He is number 3 with 200.
Yeah, he's number
games.
3.
What was that, Ed?
Gary Ayres.
No, he's up there. He's
really?
He's 7th all time.
I feel like he just wasn't that successful though.
He wasn't successful, but it's games coached, not games won.
Yeah.
I can give you his record.
Malcolm Blight,
number 5.
Yeah.
There you
go.
145 games.
Was that 4 losing grand finals?
Not great record there. And then the last two, they follow each other. You're gonna be hard to get. So I'll just
Spiffy Williamson.
Well, the second one, it's Reg. What happens when you suck on someone's neck?
Hickey. Oh, Hickey. Yeah, Reg Hickey. Yeah, that's the one.
Hickey.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That was a nickname. He was just known for giving lots of hickeys.
Oh yeah.
And then the coach who replaced him, so Reg Hickey was on 304 games, which Chris Coates just passing. And then number 5, Bob Davis.
Bobby Davis.
Bob Davis.
Yeah, don't recall those ones. I thought, who was before Chris Scott? Was it was Mark Thompson?
Yeah, it was Mike Thompson. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's why it's been so long since I can remember.
I'll just give you a quick little one. Most games played under Chris Scott. I'll give you top 3.
Joel Selwood,
number 3, 261.
Gary Ablett Jr.
No. Tom Hawkins.
Tom Hawkins, number 1,
284. Yeah, Tom Hawkins is in there. Is Gary Ablett not?
No, he's going to be way down because he's sort of the Gold Coast years.
Of course.
Would be Mitch Duncan.
No.
Mitch Duncan, number 2, yes.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No.
Underrated.
Wait, are you saying current players?
No, just most games all time.
Most games played, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Because Mitch Duncan started in the first year that Chris Scott was coach.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jimmy Bartels and Corey Enright aren't in there.
No, they're more Bomber Thompson years.
Yeah.
Oh, are you saying coach with Chris
with
Scott?
Chris Scott,
yeah. Okay, that's, yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, let's get into round 20. Should be a cracker on Friday night. Pies and the Blues. Always fun to watch the Blues get hurt again. Always fun to see the Pies lose as well, though. I don't see the Pies particularly losing this game. I think they're 18.5-point favourites.
Yeah, I rate the Pies here. But again, it's one of those rivalries where Carlton are going to want to get up against them more than any other team. And Carlton, they've won a couple in a row, so...
They'll also probably want revenge on, not earlier in the season, but what happened to them last season as well.
Yeah, true.
In order to get into the finals where they lost by a Jamie Elliott kick after the siren.
I think...
Or just before the siren.
Just before, yeah. I think with the Blues, though, is... I think they're playing really good footy, but they've just lost... I think 2 players who are really, really central to them at the moment.
Oh, yeah, they lost Sam Walsh, didn't they, to a hamstring injury?
Sam Walsh and Jack Silvani, who's been in really good form. So,
is he?
He's been playing pretty well. He's actually I think a much more mobile key position player. So, I think they've been using him well. But yeah, even if they had them in, Collingwood would be favourites. I reckon Collingwood will. I think it'll be not super... I think it'll be a 3-goal win or something.
Well, it is 3 goals is the line. Did you see the Swamp tweet through the week as well of injury list accumulative games? Pies have 11 games.
Wow. Yeah, Hawks are low as well on 70 odd games, I think.
Yeah. As opposed to the Eagles who are on 2,000 or something like that.
There's just an infinite symbol next to them.
So Pies are in this perfect storm of healthy, top of the ladder, winning these big games. It's
what you need to win a premiership. It's just luck on your side, basically.
Sustained health. All right, now the Cats are 45-point favourites against Rio. I don't know about that.
That's a large line.
That's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're going to win by that much. 8 goals
is a weird line to start with.
Yeah. I mean, I think that could happen, but I feel also Freo could run them kind of close. So
yeah, I feel
they did beat them last time. So obviously,
last 2 times.
Different. Yeah, and I reckon, I feel this might be a bit closer than that. You're wrong.
As far as injuries for us go, we're actually starting to sort of become a bit healthier. We've still got Cam Guthrie out, but he probably won't be for much longer. And then Gary Rowan, who missed last week's game in the warm-ups, was laid out, was a massive bummer. We could have really used his speed against Brisbane, but I think we should get him back. As far as Fremantle goes, though, I don't know if it's just that they've had the spirit sucked out of them or whatever it is. Sean Darcy could be back. He's like a key cog in their wheel. Oh no, sorry, Sean Darcy. No, he's out for the season.
Yeah, he's gone, unfortunately. But they're not going to be doing anything this year, so probably best that he gets healthy for next year.
Yeah, that makes sense. 1:45 on a Saturday should be good. I'm just looking at any other Q Clash. Anything from the Q Clash? Oh, actually, no. Before the Q clash, Dogs Giants. Dogs Giants always play each other hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
It's at Mars Stadium as well. So that's...
Yeah, so they're in Ballarat. Bulldogs are relatively getting to sort of like a healthy place.
They're just so up and down. And I mean, same with GWS. Obviously, GWS got their tails up and about at the moment. But as you said, like both teams, it feels like a Collingwood Carlton, like they seem to get up for each other ever since was 2016 or whenever.
Yeah.
I reckon GWS win this. I reckon that I didn't think Bulldogs were amazing. I just think GWS looks like a really even team, and it's got a good midfield, a solid forward line.
The only thing I will say about the Giants is they might be without Tom Green, who's out for a week, and Jesse Hogan is out for 1 to 2 weeks.
That is also a big out. Okay.
It changes it.
I think, this is a real 50-50 game. That'll be great.
Dogs are favoured by 2 goals. I don't know. Q Clash.
Brisbane will smack the Suns. They always do in the Q Clash.
20-point favourites.
And Sydney will not comfortably, I reckon they will play actually probably a similar game to the Bulldogs last week. I reckon I think odds
you got no faith? You need to win this game.
No, we do, but we just look like we've kind of lost confidence. And I mean, that could change this week, but I'd say based on recent form, Sydney will win this game.
The Derby, Port Adelaide.
I reckon Port win.
Port by 3 goals. Yeah, I think Isaac Rankin is a big loss to the Crows, among other injuries. And I don't think with Port Adelaide will be without Willie Rioli, but I don't think that's a huge loss for them when their midfield is playing so well.
Was the headline to the Adelaide Advertiser, Willie Rioli slapped with a fine?
He got a week, so...
I mean, slapped with a week, whatever.
There's actually a lot of really watchable games. Like even the last game of the round, West Coast North Melbourne in.
Yeah, I mean, that will be interesting.
Harley Reid
WA, so
that's it. That's the Harley Reid Bowl. Tigers and the D's. I think that could be a fairly close game.
Yeah.
Hawks
and Saints.
Hawks Saints is only 5 points.
These are all flip-of-the-coin games.
Well, that is the Saints should be much better favourites. I mean, it's at Marvel where I feel like we don't have a great record.
This guy. You guys will win. I reckon you guys will win.
You can't say that like we should be favourites. We've won like 4 games.
Saints are in a hole. They're in like a...
That doesn't make us the favourites. They're in the top 8. We have won 5 games all year.
Hawks don't have too many injuries though, outside of Chinkuth Jath and...
Well, I was going to say,
that's really it.
Our team was injured, our injury, like the number of games missed wouldn't be that high with how few games we've got on our team. But
Saints are without Max King. Tim Membry should be back.
Yeah. I mean, look, we beat them earlier this year, but I think for that reason they're going to be up against us even more so.
Was that in Tasmania?
No, it was in G, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, maybe it was in Tassie.
I reckon it was at Marvel. Yeah, because it would have been Saints home game.
That's bullshit. Why are we playing them twice at Marvel? Anyway.
That's my if any punters out there want to tip the week, Hawks to beat the Saints.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. The Saints who can only just beat the Eagles and North Melbourne. I'd love it if they
barely beat North and they just look out of form like the Dons. Just no confidence. It'll be a close game, but I reckon Hawks by 2 points.
All right, that's going to do it for another week of Ball or Nothing. Thank you for tuning in this far. If you're still tuning in, that's much appreciated. We will catch you. We need this. We'll catch you next week. Enjoy the footy ahead. Goodbye.
Oh.